And hello, everyone. Welcome back to Box Office Shuffle. It's time for episode 9. I was going to do the monologue with the, pop quiz hot shot, and then the whole monologue about the initial setup for this movie. But then I realized, there's a certain B word in that I don't think YouTube algorithm likes. So we're going to get past a minute, and then we'll say the setup for the film, because this week we're watching Speed from 1994. I'm one of your hosts, Thomas, a.k.a. Mr. Warburg. Alongside me, as always, is Chris, a.k.a. Gamma Caruchador.
Yo!
And joining us, last but certainly not least, is Joe, aka Joe.
Hey.
So, the Box Office Shuffle is a podcast where we take our physical media collections. In this case, this one's from mine, in the form of Speed from 1994. We put them in a shuffler, and that's the movie we're going to watch for the episode. Next up, we're going to have one from Chris's collection to round out the primary shuffler situation for season 1. And then we might be able to sneak in a holiday one towards Christmas as well. So that's the basic gist of the show. We're going to get into what we liked about Speed, the facts, and kind of some fun backstory about it. I got a couple great stories about the director here, which I'm like, I did not know he was tied to another very famous and more infamous movie from earlier in his career. I was like, oh, I did not know he was the cinematographer on that. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But obviously, this is not a film that's a first time for any of us, like Godfather was. And I think there were a few others where it's been our first, like Ready or Not was definitely the first watching for you guys. So when was the last time we've watched Speed? Like for me, I know it's probably been 10 years. I've watched a podcast about Speed with the Kind of Funny crew that Nick Scarpino is a huge Speed fan. And they did kind of like a react/in review stream with it. And that's the last time I've interacted with Speed, but that was a long time ago. What about you guys?
Yeah, last time for me was for interacting with Speed at all was probably watching like a CinemaSins Everything Wrong with Speed or something like that. Or like the honest trailer for Speed. I don't know. But last time I saw this movie in full was probably like you, about 10. But it's such a good movie. Like,
oh yeah, it
you go back and you
holds up.
watch it. Like I'm watching it this time, and it's just like, oh, I watched this last week.
Yeah, it just sticks with you.
Right.
Yeah. I think the last time I watched Speed or something interactive with Speed was the Mythbuster episode. Where they kind of cracked down on that one.
Roughly 15 years ago. That was 2009.
2009? Jesus, yeah.
Which is weird. Like, I see 2009, I'm like, wait, that's 15 years ago.
Dude. And then I was like, oh, I'm ancient. I'm dwindling.
Because I know I definitely watched it in college. So maybe it's more like 12 years for me. Because there was like a Keanu Reeves marathon of like The Replacements and Speed and Matrix.
Oh, yeah.
It was a great, might have been on Spike, maybe G4 or something like that back
Sounds
in the day.
Spike thing. Yeah.
So that was the last time I remember watching it. So some facts and figures on Speed. And by the way, I assume we all had a great time with it.
Oh, 100% did.
Oh yeah.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
For the audience's understanding, we watched this a few days prior. Life got in the way. We were going to record right after. But your boy here had to get up at like 5 a.m. to go to Rochester, Minnesota to do some appointments that turned out to be a total waste of time. Why we couldn't have done it locally, I don't know. I was not happy to have to take half a day PTO for that. But, and then I had to do an MRI on Friday, which sucks because you got to drink all that crap.
Yeah.
For the gastro ones, it sucks. Not as bad as it used to be. It's a much easier drink. It's way closer to water now, but still not fun.
That's good.
So, facts and figures on Speed. Release date was June 10th, 1994, so a true summer blockbuster here. Starring Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, Sandra Bullock, Jeff Daniels, and Joe Morton. The director was Jan de Bont. I assume he says the T. He's most well known as a director for this movie and then Twister from 1996. That's definitely his biggest other known film. He was also the director. His last directing role was 2003's Lara Croft Tomb Raider: Cradle of Life with Angelina Jolie.
I looked at his directorial filmography, and I'm like, wow, I've only not seen one of these movies.
Yeah.
What was it, The Haunting or something like that?
Yeah, I'd have to go back here. Yeah, because he did, what's the filmography director? Yeah, he did the sequel, Speed 2.
Yep.
Yeah, and then The Haunting. and then Lara Croft. So he's only directed 5 films.
Right.
So yeah,
it's like I've only not seen one of this guy's movies.
I'm trying to think, did I ever see? I don't know if I ever actually saw Twister. I don't know if I did growing up. My parents didn't like it because my mom survived a tornado, so she absolutely did not want to go through that.
And there was one in the area,
the Charles City, like F4, like just destroyed
guy.
downtown Charles City. That was back in the 60s here in Iowa. But so yeah, I had seen Speed 2, and then Cradle of Life. But he is most well known, probably in the industry, as a cinematographer, working for a few very well known directors, like Paul Verhoeven, and most closely related to what I enjoy, a lot of John McTiernan films are really two. Die Hard, he was the director of photography, and I believe he was the lead cinematographer on The Hunt for Red October, which are two absolute 10 out of 10 films, and a large part of that is to how they are shot, and he is a huge part of that. But the really fun stuff with de Bont here is one of his first big cinematography roles, like the ones that probably got him the connections to go on to bigger and better things. Is a very infamous movie from 1981. Has anybody heard of Roar?
Roar. No.
It's definitely billed as one of the most dangerous to film movies of all time.
Oh, yes.
Because they filmed it with 150 actual wild animals.
Yeah. And they were like lions, right?
Lions and an elephant and a bunch of wild birds and leopards. Holy shit. They had an actress with honey on her face getting licked by a leopard. And de Bont got scalped by a lion named Cherries. And he needed 220 stitches, recovered, still finished the movie. Because the movie was... the making of that movie is absolutely buck wild. I'm serious. Go look up Roar 1981 Wikipedia.
Just look up a documentary on it.
I think there has been a couple. It's crazy. I think Alamo might have commissioned one because I think the group that had owned Alamo at the time owns the rights to it. I think still, because that was the only reason it ever came out in the U.S. because it never released here theatrically. It was strictly, I think it was UK and Australia, and it did not do well, but gained a very cult following. And the making of that movie is absolutely absurd, to the point where they had a flood destroy their entire shooting area that took a year to recover.
Holy shit.
Absolute anarchy on that set. Over 70 confirmed, but the director and the people behind the scenes, really more 100 people got hurt making this movie because of the wild animals. And it's nuts.
Joey, there's literally scenes where lions are jumping on people's shoulders with their front paws, but they didn't declaw these lions, if I remember.
Nope.
So they're like, oh, the lion is nuzzling you, and it would just bite somebody.
Oh fuck.
It's just literal chaos, but they made an actual movie out of it. I did not know it was this guy.
Yeah, he was the cinematographer, and then he would obviously go on to bigger and better things in the movie industry and hit some major successes as a cinematographer, director, and a DP, and then a director as well. So other notes I wanted to touch on. During filming, I actually forgot this was when River Phoenix had his OD. He was one of the best friends of Keanu Reeves, and died during the production, which obviously, Keanu Reeves, how old was he at the time of this filming? It was filmed probably, 93.
Same age as now.
Yeah, 476 years old.
Yeah, whatever's traveler. Is a time traveler.
64. Yeah. So that'd make him about 29, 30. You lose one of your best friends like that to an OD. And he was also not super comfortable with stunts yet as, an action star, because he'd really only done for action stuff Point Break before. But his scenes in that film weren't as intense on the stunt work side. Mm-hmm. And so he actually would practice and went behind the director's back to get ready for, remember the scene where he's jumping from the car to the bus to get on the bus? That's Keanu Reeves filming that. And the director was like, I don't think we should do this. But Keanu wanted to do it, practiced it a bunch, got good enough and comfortable enough to do it that it made it into the film. Which
the man behind a movie full of lions actually hurting people says,
I don't know if
we can't have you jumping from a car to a bus. Right? No.
Yeah. Yeah,
he
it's
like PTS flashbacks.
Yeah.
Of, like the Roar set, and he's like, "He's gonna get fucking ran over. It's gonna go under the bus."
yeah.
he looks at the scene through the camera lens, and just the road moving just looks like an animal, like a lion's mouth. He's like, we can't do it.
Yeah. So, and that was one of the like
Holy shit.
production side, and obviously you could go watch a bunch of behind the scenes of like interviews like Jeff Daniels and stuff has done on it. Up until I think it was 2016 when Gravity came out, this was Sandra Bullock's highest grossing film.
Oh.
Obviously the sequel did not do as well. Speaking of gross, it made about 350 total gross, 350 million worldwide. The budget was roughly 30 to 37 million production, so then you double that for marketing and distribution, meaning it roughly made 4.5 times its initial budget on the actual like profit side, which is huge. So obviously it spawned a sequel, which did not do as well. But where the fuck is Speed 3? Right? It's the Keanu Sans. Like Sandra Bullock was coming off a huge heater in the mid 2010s. Speed 3 just never happened. Like, come on. It was asking for it to be made, and now it probably never will.
What would it be nowadays, though?
Well, I don't even think it would be. I don't even think it would be the setup. Like, maybe it's just a cop story with those two. It doesn't have to have the bomb mechanic. It just needs to be a tense thriller.
But there has to be a speed aspect.
Oh, I completely understand. Like,
fast.
give it a timer kind of mechanic or something. Because I mean, they're both in their 60s.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You're not going to get that crazy action again at this point in their careers.
Running with the bulls, and a bull has a bomb on it.
Each bomb is stuffed. Each bull is stuffed with C4.
So yeah, other facts and stuff. Obviously, Joey mentioned the MythBusters episode that was on my notes that aired in 2009. Obviously, they found it not possible because it's not, and it was not filmed like as though it was real. I think the highway section was CGI'd out in the edit.
Yeah.
And it was actually not want to say last minute ad, but it was definitely after they had their initial script when they realized, oh, part of this highway is not done. Let's just add in a bus jump. Because they were filming on a soon to be opened highway near LA with major construction. They're like, oh, that's missing. Let's just film a bus jump and CGI out the road so it's safer. They filmed with a number of different buses. Well, one of them actually recently sold in 2018 for $102,000 at auction, which is nuts.
Bad price.
That's wild.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't like that's when I'm like, okay, where are you storing that? You know what I mean?
Right,
it's a
huge.
bus.
Yeah.
True.
Like it's basically a slightly shorter Winnebago. Those things are not small. Like I don't know who's buying that, but they got to have that kind of money to afford the storage for it too, which is not cheap.
Do you think the bus that they bought is actually missing that first?
Oh yeah, because it was exploded. Yeah.
Exploded.
So those are kind of what I had. I didn't have time. I meant to take my movie up with me to Rochester and actually watch the behind the scenes, but I didn't because you never know with hotels if you're going to get a TV that can actually play the 4K. And the hotel I was at sucked. The TV was such a pain in the ass to get the HDMI into because it was like mounted. The HDMIs were on the very back. I had to like
Point it out.
use a camera on my phone to find the port. It was a disaster. So I'm glad I didn't try bringing the movie up there with me too. But so what are your guys' thoughts? Did you have anything to add that you know about this movie? Because obviously it's very widely discussed.
Yeah.
I know that Sandra Bullock actually learned to drive a bus for this movie.
Oh, that's fine.
Like she literally took lessons to drive a bus, and she passed on her first exam.
Oh, let's go, Sandra. Damn.
It ain't easy driving something that big.
No,
It is
no,
not.
It's not.
I think the biggest passenger thing I drove was a 15 passenger, which sucked enough going across Nebraska with crosswinds. But
God.
obviously, Joey, we've driven implements before, so
Yeah.
we've driven big
But just
things, but
driving
not
in
that fast.
But driving in Nebraska would just be painful because it's flat.
And and then you get crosswinds.
And,
It's a pain in the ass.
and their football team's awful, so it's just
Fuck them, yeah.
Yeah, I've driven like I think it's probably like what you got. I think it was like one of those short buses. I used to be a leader at like a youth group thing, and there was just a time where we needed to get people from here to there, and I was one who could drive, so I just drove the bus.
So you drove the short bus, I see.
No, I did. I did. It was terrifying, but at the same time, like with those lengths of buses, it's just like a U-Haul truck.
There were plenty of those.
Nothing too crazy.
Right.
There's a quote I say a lot that I didn't realize was from this movie. It was like, I just work here. You're the expert. I'm like, oh my god, I didn't realize it's from Speed. I don't know when I picked that up, but I was just like, holy shit.
It's a great line.
I know.
This is definitely an era of filmmaking, and we'll get to some other odds and ends that we discussed in the our kind of after discussion. Definitely a 90s movie in terms of you got to have the catchphrase, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you got to have the quotes and the callbacks and the pop quiz hot shot, and especially early on, it feels like Reeves's character is like trying to be the over-the-top archetype of a cocky cop.
Yeah.
And then it kind of loses that as the, tension continues to ratchet up, which is obviously intentional in terms of his character growth in the movie. Some other things, the intro credits are hilariously 90s with the elevator shaft, as it's going down and the text popping up. I mean, it's straight up, like, remember the curved with the gradient text you can do in clip art? It's basically just that. And that's all it is. But that was cutting edge at the time, man.
Dude, I was just like, this feels like somebody edited it in like Windows Movie Editor way back in the day, where like putting text on a video was super stressful, and I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
But
or like the biggest
nowadays,
text advance was like, get the text to hide behind the girder.
Yes. Yep.
And then they did the super special thing when the actual Speed logo came up, and then it like came towards you and it was like super 3D, and you're like, whoa. Nowadays that would be like day one intro to 3D modeling graphics.
Right.
Oh, I forgot about this note. On one of the special features, they realized that they missed the ramp the first time on the bus jump, and that bus was absolutely totaled.
Oh,
because
really?
they had the driver was fine. They're suspended in this like anti-crash harness, so like they won't get whipped around. Like it's gonna keep them like loose enough to like kind of sway, but not enough to hit anything. And the second time they shot it a couple days later, they were able to actually get the proper lift, that you see in the final edit, which was an interesting behind the scenes nugget. Sometimes it doesn't work on the first try. Like, one of my favorite other practical effects was something like that big. The truck scene flip over in The Dark Knight.
Oh yeah.
How they just absolutely nail it to within like an inch of the mark.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't quite get that done here on Speed, but they got it the second time, which is not as expensive as some of the other horror stories you would see in Hollywood.
Yeah, which is lucky because like there's a lot of practical effects nowadays where it's like, okay, we have one shot at this, we need to get it right this time, and like they were just able. We can do the bus again. Let's go do the bus again.
Yeah. Yeah, and when they needed the second camera because on the second attempt they went too far, and I think it was that the one, yeah, destroyed one of the cameras setting up to capture the landing, so they needed the other angle.
Wow,
yeah,
it's incredible.
That's pretty cool.
Like, man, movie making is a wild time. Like, you go like from the extremes of this crazy action movie, and then the directors earlier, yeah, let's just film with like 80 wild lions. Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Let's cut off a horse's head for real.
Yeah, and throw it in somebody's bed.
Yeah, and not tell them.
Tell the actor.
Yeah, not tell the actor.
We need the reaction to be real, guys. You're not paid to do that fake like.
Yeah. Any other reactions from watching the film? One I had calls back to a story that me and Joey are familiar with. That one of the opening scenes where we're introduced to Reeves's character. They're launching that car down the streets, to get to the crime scene.
Oh, uh-huh.
When the car
yes.
lands, Number one, my thought is that car is absolutely fucked, and he's probably fired because how expensive it is, or it's his personal car, which is incredibly stupid. Because Joey, were you in the car when Brennan jumped the gravel road, or did you just hear about it?
I heard about it. Wasn't
Same
in
here. I
that-
wasn't
that
in there,
time.
but I had seen the
Yeah.
aftermath. So our friend had a 1999 like Eagle.
Eagle.
So
I think it
basically a
was-
Dodge
oh,
Intrepid because it was like the same chassis. And we had sometimes you get gravel roads where one's a little more elevated than the one bisecting it.
Yep.
And then you kind of drive up, over, and you keep going. Well, it's a gravel road in Iowa. It's super. I think it was early in the spring, so no crops are up. You can absolutely see, every single
Miles.
direction coming. Instead of stopping, he just decided to floor it and launched over the middle and up.
Yes.
And when they landed, the chassis was in a U. And it ripped, I think the radiator dropped out. Like a bunch of stuff was broken. All the hoses were basically shot. Like
Yeah, the
the
vehicle's
car was
fucked.
totaled just from that one thing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that is, I mean, number one, that's a dumb 17-year-old doing it, I think,
Yep.
versus a 29-year-old cop. Like, that makes zero fucking sense. And the only way it would make sense is because they wanted to have the bookend with the bus landing later in the movie. Like, that's it. So dumb. And so 90s and so fucking awesome. I loved it. What a great tone setter for what exactly you're getting out of this movie.
It is.
Oh yeah.
Even though it does not make sense. You're like, oh, I know this character. He's an absolutely cocksure, arrogant son of a bitch that doesn't give a shit about the damage around him right now. He's just gonna go get the job done.
Need
and
to
then-
get there fast. Don't care.
Exactly. And what a great opening for the movie. And then obviously the initial hostage situation is
Yeah.
like tense and really, really well shot. And you absolutely buy that like it's a competent like SWAT unit kind of deal.
Mhm.
And they're good at their jobs. Like it's plus a great introduction with Dennis Hopper as the villain. And then very quickly realize, yeah, he's not dead.
Yeah, no.
Great opening segment that leads into a greater escalation later
Right.
on. Anything else, you guys, that your takeaways or things that stuck out to you?
I got nothing top of my head right now.
Anything that
I will
doesn't work?
say, I will say when we talk about the director of this movie, and then you bring up the fact that he was the director of cinematography on October and specifically Die Hard. It's like, oh yeah, this is a Die Hard movie, just with Keanu Reeves as the main character. So it looks so similar, but you don't even notice it just because it's a different movie. But once you put that together, you're just like, oh yeah, 100%. Like getting those zoom in moments of whatever, like you see that both in Die Hard and in this, and it's just like, yeah, it 100% makes sense why this movie looks exactly like.
Ooh, and what doesn't work is when he calls the payphone. It's not how payphones work. Most of the time they don't have ringers in them, so it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Are you
The
saying
bad
the
guy
movie
cannot call
Phone Booth is a sham?
Yes, it is.
And also, one of my all-time favorite TV shows, Person of Interest, because that's a huge motif in the show. But still,
They could just, if they just figured out, oh, there's an actual ringer in here. Somebody had to put it in, and then they just see like security cam footage and end of movie.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, because the obvious answer is the guy added the ringer because he knew what he was going to
Right.
do.
Yeah. It makes you think that maybe that's why Keanu Reeves goes and picks it up. He's like, those don't actually ring.
What is this?
Why? Yeah. Why does Keanu pick it up in the first place? Who knows? But who cares? This is what movies need to return to. Don't make it make sense. Make it be fun and enjoyable.
In some sense, is nice though.
Some
Yeah.
sense is nice, but I can suspend some things in order for it to be extremely fun.
Yeah.
I feel
I
like we
get
just
you.
don't. We either get the complete nonsensical and it just isn't super fun, or it has to be extremely accurate and I
See
feel
that,
like
and
there's-
that's where Captain America: Winter Soldier is perfect.
exactly
It threads that needle exactly right. It knows exactly how much comedy it needs. It knows how much awesome action scenes it needs, and moves the greater plot of the MCU forward a little bit. It's
Yeah,
fantastic. That's why for me it's
100%.
the
Such a
greatest
good movie.
MCU film.
I would probably agree. It's that, and then like Infinity War.
Yeah, because I mean it's right up there. Like I said, the initial the opening scene telling you what kind of movie you're gonna get. When he just fucking launches that dude off the boat, you're like, oh,
Oh yeah,
okay, it's this kind of movie.
just puts a foot in his chest, and then
And
he
just-
goes like 20 feet off the
God.
boat, as if that wouldn't have just pushed his entire ribs in, and then his foot would have just stood there.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I think he's probably got broken ribs, bobbing in the ocean at night. He's most likely dead.
Yeah, those
Yeah, 'cause
ribs
they're
are
in the
probably
middle of the
puncturing
ocean.
his lungs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He's coughing up blood. Not good. Just
Yeah, yeah, he's absolutely a dead man.
Yeah,
And then obviously, as we all mentioned, when the movie ended, predictably, it's in L.A. and they're just making out on a bus, and people got their video recorders out,
the big ones.
nobody
Like,
nobody needs resolution when you just. that
and then
is
the
the
slow
resolution.
pan up and pan away into the credits from there,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yep.
Very 90s ending. We don't need to see him, getting another medal or them starting a
Yeah.
relationship. It's just zoom out,
Right.
story's over until the sequel.
And that's what we need more of in Hollywood now. I feel like there are so many stories that are just like hero stories like this, where it's like, if you don't do this, the entire city blows up or the world is ending. Like just condense it down, make it about a bus, and then it's either focused on one person or focused on one small group, and then make it all about that. And that's all we need. We like the small stories that are easily contained and don't play so much of an effect on the outside world that we're going to be questioning too many things. Just self-contain it. Make it simple. Make it fun. Hollywood.
nothing has to be like. Not everything has to be like global ending kind of stuff.
Right.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
I understand
Right.
that.
That's why I think like the most recent Spider-Man movies are so like the
And they're largely,
it-
except for the second one, largely one location.
right. And
At least
like
one
the second
city.
one even is very much like, oh, this is world ending, but it is literally, once you get to a certain point, you're like, oh, this is literally just because of Spider-Man. Like he's going after this because of Spider-Man. Spider-Man is the centralization of this story, so it makes sense why he's there, and then it also makes sense as to why it's like not a global scale as of yet. It could be, but it's like it all feels self-contained too.
All right, so I think that about wraps it up. Obviously, we all rate this one quite highly. Would we say this is? If I had to take a stab, I would say this is everyone's second favorite of the 9 films we've watched. Because obviously we have Galaxy Quest,
Yes.
and then I would say Speed. See the films we have watched.
Speed.
Let me give you
Yeah.
guys the rundown. I'm thinking towards the end. I'm thinking towards like if we do a holiday one or if we cap it at episode 10. I'm thinking we'll do like a ranking of like our favorite films
Yeah.
from the season. So we did Godfather episode 1, Galaxy Quest was episode 2, Kingsman: The Secret Service, The Other Guys, The World Is Not Enough, Ready or Not, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that's where I'm like, I don't know what's gonna be 1, 2, 3, and then Kingpin.
Number 1. I'll fight this.
And then obviously now we have Speed. So that's 9.
Yeah.
So obviously this is kind of a primer for let's start getting our like what are we thinking?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say for me this is number 3
This is a top 3 movie of what we've watched
so far.
for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah,
It's
For
either
sure.
4 or 3 for me.
gotcha. Because I know you're putting
Kind
Godfather.
of a toss up.
way up
Godfather's
there.
1. Duh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Godfather is like a 1, but rank wise.
He's got the inverse.
Rating.
It's so
Son
wild.
of a bitch. like, If I could make a Discord disconnect sound, I would.
All right. Any of you guys have any physical media to add to your collections before we do our spins for the next one?
I've got 2 weeks, and then we'll ask that question again because I do not buy things for myself from November on.
Fair enough.
Because of holidays.
Let me open your list, Chris, and
Family.
I'll go through my stuff.
Just buys presents so early.
Because I actually added a bunch. Did I show you guys the full?
Oh, not the full.
My gosh.
The full
So a
gambit.
bunch of these were ones I'd already talked about, but this is all thrift store.
Oh,
The discs are all clean. They look like they'll work just fine. I haven't tested them all yet.
Pictures
it
from
was
the thrift store. Holy shit.
Popstar. Seriously, for real. I went up to Rochester. They don't have anything like the 2 down in Ankeny and Des Moines. So there's a place called Stuff Etc. They have several stores in the greater Des Moines area, including I think Ankeny, Ames, and Des Moines. And then there's JCD and Hobby, which is basically if you took like a comic book, like nerd, like Magna anime place, instead of having video games as the side thing, it's movies.
Okay.
Right. I think they also do have video games, but like they have a huge movie collection in their 3 stores. So yeah, I have Popstar, 300, Get Out, Shoot 'Em Up, Moneyball, The Departed, and Predators. And then what I got new for myself, I forgot I had pre-ordered the Galaxy Quest 4K. So that just showed up. Like, oh, I
Heck
forgot
yeah.
I bought that. Fantastic. And then I got Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, which is a great companion film for Mad Max Fury Road. And then The Fall Guy.
Oh,
So I have
a great
almost all
movie.
my favorite films
Very
from
entertaining.
2024. I have yet to buy Godzilla -1, even though technically that's 23. I also saw it another time in 24. Saturday Night was great in 24.
so good.
I'd have to go through the rest of my list. Deadpool Wolverine I don't have yet, but that's on my Christmas list. And that's mostly the films, because I already owned Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. That one I bought right away. Oh, I got the steelbook for that one.
Is that the Anthony Richardson?
Yeah. Yep.
I
It's
might
World
be-
War II.
Yeah.
That one's
Anthony
good.
Richardson?
Anthony Richardson.
Richardson. That's
Which is, I watch that movie every time, and I'm like, hey, Wolfenstein, BJ Blazkowicz.
yeah. Yeah.
That dude,
I
get
mean,
him in the leather jacket, and let's go kill some Nazis.
he's incredible in Reacher, and
he's good.
he could just literally bring Reachers.
Yep,
community
Amazon,
to
what are you doing?
Wolfenstein.
Let's make a Wolfenstein show.
Yeah,
Dude.
here for it.
Time to kill some Nazis. All right, so let's get into what our next film's going to be. And obviously, if you're a fan of Speed Below, let us know what we missed talking about. Let us know what your thoughts on Speed are down in the comments below, or in reviews if you're listening on audio services. Do our wheel spin page here. This is Chris's list. I'm gonna make my note for our next.
Come
film.
on, strange one. I don't even remember what's on my list.
Chris's list.
The worst movie I have. I'm gonna vote for that.
I'm gonna give it a quick go through here. What do you all have listed that I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm on my list.
One Night in Paris.
Nothing too bad so far. Snow White and the Huntsman.
I was literally just thinking about that in the car yesterday.
Which Wonder
I don't
Woman
know why.
do you have listed? The animated or the
first
live
one.
action?
Oh, the live action.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get
Totally
I'll
fine.
get to it.
Batman the movie. Which Batman the movie is that?
The
89.
original.
Oh, this the Adam West.
The Adam West, dude.
That's my
That's
vote. I
a
wanna
that's a
watch
great
it.
one. That's a great one.
All right. Trying to think here. Oh, I Am
I also
Sam.
have the Batman. Oh, I Am Sam. I used to love that.
Let's see. What thing? I don't know. Inner Space doesn't sound familiar to me.
Ooh, you guys. I think you guys would love Inner Space.
What else do you have?
Dennis
on here?
Quaid and Martin Short. Martin
Oh,
Short
Pacific
becomes-
Rim Uprising. You have that? That's a terrible movie.
Did I put that on the list?
haven't
I thought I
seen that
didn't put
one.
it on the list.
It's
because
on
I
your
was
list
like,
right
I don't
now.
want to. All right, if it, I hate that movie. I only
And
have it.
it's
It's
one of
not
those,
even
like,
open.
How is the sequel so bad? Movies.
Yeah.
Like, come
Yeah,
on.
the first one is so good.
Ugh.
It's genuinely one of my favorite sci-fi films ever. Just because it's
Yeah.
so like exactly what it's trying to be.
It's so bad. The second one. First
All
one's
right.
fantastic.
Spinning the wheel. Here we go.
Let's go.
Slowing down.
Pacific
It's
Rim
slowing down.
Uprising.
Wait, I thought we said we weren't putting Star Wars on the list. Or did we say Star Wars was fine? It
just
showed
spin
Star
it
Wars
again.
Force Awakens.
Spin it again.
Okay, we'll do another one.
I don't remember.
Yeah, because we said it was no Harry Potter and no Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah,
There's
no
no
Star
Marvel.
Wars except for. I guess I just accidentally put it on there.
Yeah.
Totally fine. Oh, Rat Race. Which one?
Ooh,
'Cause
the most
newer
recent
one's
one.
okay, it is the
one with
the
Rowan Atkinson and
Okay.
Seth Green.
All right,
Dude,
so
I haven't watched this in forever.
I think I've only seen it once. And I was
Yeah,
like,
I vaguely
TV.
remember it.
This
I
Cuba
have seen
Gooding
it.
Jr. as well.
Let me go back to the main
Um,
scene. We can.
John Cleese.
It's from 2001. Yeah, John Cleese.
Yep. Yep.
Whoopi's in it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I can't
inspired
wait
by
for
Mad.
Rowan
It's a Mad World.
Yeah.
It was not a direct remake, but that's what it was inspired by.
Dude,
Rowan
I haven't
Atkinson,
seen this
Cuba
in
Gooding Jr.,
forever.
John Lovitz, Whoopi Goldberg, Seth Green, John Cleese. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's from 2001. It's a Zucker production. Yeah, directed by Jerry Zucker. I recognize the name.
I'm honestly so excited for this. I haven't
Pretty
seen
short
this movie
movie,
in
112
probably
minutes.
20 years.
Damn.
Yeah.
So that means it's like roughly like 108
Yeah.
with credits.
Full on comedy. Gonna be great.
Okay, and that's what we're gonna close out the shuffler for season 1 at least, unless we decide we're gonna do the holiday episode. So we'll figure that out here off stream, and we'll let you know what the plan is for that in episode 10. But that's gonna wrap it up for episode 9. Here we have roughly 35-ish minutes, I think, give or take.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's been a good time, and I really, really enjoyed watching Speed. That was
Oh yeah.
a really
this is,
fun
This
time.
is a. I don't own it, but if I don't own it at some point in my life, I've failed living.
Yes, you
This is a
definitely
must
have.
own. This is a must
This
own.
is-
Oh, speaking of owning, I was going to mention I bought movie shelves for all these new movies because I'm out of space. The fucking shelf came with a top that was like stripped of the finish.
Yeah, I saw that.
Damn,
Oh man.
I was pissed. I'm hoping by the time we do episode 10, there will be a resolution on that because I emailed the customer service. They're going to send the message to the manufacturer, and I'm hoping they can just give me the new part,
Yeah.
That would
and
be
I can put it
nice.
together and have my shelves. But I got to
But if
find
this-
room for all my stuff.
If they send you a whole new kit, can I buy the broken one off of you?
No, go for it. I don't care.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I got everything together. It's the only damaged piece. It's just the top, which is, of course, the most visible part.
I was gonna say it's
Right.
the front top part, so it's like
Yeah, it's facing the
100
front,
dirt.
and it's just stripped. Like,
Ugh.
damn it.
Yeah, it looked real bad.
What?
My
And it's the
picture.
last piece you take out.
Yeah.
I got
of
everything
course.
out, counted everything, I had everything, and then the top's just destroyed. Like, because you can see it down here maybe behind me, but I have a Cerritos model that I bought from Lower Decks, which is sadly being canceled before its time. But man, it's a great show, and I need more room on my Star Trek shelf behind me.
Is that the animated one?
Yes, it's the animated one, Lower Decks. It's fantastic. That and Strange New Worlds, we're living great for Star Trek right now. Great time. Having a blast.
Oh, speaking of a star thing, have you guys seen the first 2 episodes of Skeleton Crew?
That is on my list for tonight, actually.
I will say first 2 episodes, it very much feels like this is going to be a Goonies style.
Oh yeah, that's the
Star
vibe I
Wars
got from the
series.
trailer.
And it's
okay.
I was like, after the first episode, I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. After the second episode, I'm like, I'm in for it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Give me every episode now. I'm so excited for this now.
Don't think anything else for. Obviously, we're in a kind of a dead time for movies right now. There's not a lot
Yeah.
coming out. I'm trying to remember.
Is it-
December movie release.
Darren was saying something about
Flow?
the
There's
is
the Sonic
Rohirrim
3.
one.
Yeah, and War of the Rohirrim.
I need to see that.
I need to see that.
Now, then obviously there's that Better Man, the Robbie Williams story, where he basically is an ape the whole time for some reason.
E. Williams, the
British
music
pop star.
guy.
Yeah. Have you
Dude.
not seen this trailer?
No.
Look
Oh,
up
God,
Better
it's a-
Man trailer.
It's actually
It's
a pretty
a
good trailer.
wild trailer. Because I'm
Yeah.
like, why the fuck is he an ape? And why does it
we
look
never know.
good?
It looks great.
You're putting so much effort into just turning a guy into an ape.
I know.
It's so weird.
What the heck? It looks great.
Right? You're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is
Just from that
they
first-
clearly are using the tech from Planet of the Apes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it looks fantastic.
Bro, that's crazy.
It's so weird. And then there's that Amy Adams night bitch.
I want to see it. I don't care what it's about.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Trying to think what else do we got that's coming
There's an
out?
animated movie called Flow.
Oh, Y2K is a new horror film.
Oh, is that about the progressive lady?
No, it's it's
Oh,
basically
and
an animation about a
Nosferatu
cat.
apparently is amazing.
Nosferatu?
The new take on
A new Dracula movie?
Yeah, apparently it's amazing.
Okay.
Nicholas Holt's in it.
Huh.
One of the Skarsgård's in it. I think it's Alexander Skarsgård.
Wait, Nicholas Holt is in it?
Pretty sure. I think he
Is
plays one of the human characters.
Is this like a sequel to to Renfro? What is it?
No, it's just a coincidence.
Oh,
yeah, but yeah, Renfield.
Renfield's
Renfield.
weird. It was a fun ride.
Yeah, just apparently the guy likes being in Dracula movies.
You know,
Hey.
I mean, what was he was also in what was that zombie movie he was in? Like some Love and Zombies.
Oh
or
yeah,
something like
Warm
that.
Bodies.
Warm Bodies.
Oh,
yeah,
Warm Bodies.
yeah.
Yep.
He's got a very eclectic.
And he's great in the menu.
Uh,
I loved the menu. He's such a hateable douchebag.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah,
the menu's so good.
Yeah, but that's a great movie.
It is.
We could talk about movies all
shit.
night, but we should probably wrap it up.
Yeah, we should probably
We
wrap it up.
gotta get this episode done and in the can. So that's gonna do it for episode 9. Like I said, drop a review, like, subscribe, help the algorithm, all the usual things. And we'll see you for episode 10 for Rat Race from 2001, directed by Jerry Zucker, which I've not seen probably since the DVD, like it came out on TV at the same time kind of release. So it's been 20 years. We'll see how well it holds up. Hopefully
it's
better
gonna be
than Kingpin.
Well, I think it definitely will. I remember there being some pretty funny parts of it.
All
Ron
right.
Atkinson's always a favorite.
I think it's gonna be a first watch of this for me.
Ooh, a first time for Joey. All
Yeah.
right. We'll cap off our
Right.
regular theatrical, our regularly owned movies for season 1, and then maybe we'll do a holiday one. We'll see what comes up.
Yeah.
Oh.
See ya.
All right. Bye.
Blah.